Yes, welcome to the No Stay Project live for November 1st, 2017. It's episode 40. Wow, we're already up to 40 episodes of the Wednesday broadcast. So, wow, it's quite a milestone. I'm glad everyone's tuning in here today. Let's make sure we are, in fact, where we say we are. Yeah, there's the live stream. Again, I appreciate everyone tuning in today, and got a lot of stuff to get to today. Gosh, I want to get to calls. The number is 218-632-9399, 218-632-9399. The passcode is 2020 with the pound sign. It's 2020 with the pound or hashtag. Will get you into the queue. And so I already have callers, but you know, some of the things I want to get to. Hopefully, we have time after the calls to get to these. Big thing, you know, somebody posted this last week, and just some unanswered questions here, things that aren't reported. It's always great when a judge resigns. There's just some questions here about a judge resigning and they shut a youth court down after he I think it was called a judicial kidnapping. So I want to talk about that. Also, Nurse Wubbles of Salt Lake City has agreed to a $500,000 payment settlement. $500,000 for her false arrest, false imprisonment there a number of months ago in Salt Lake City. So I want to get to that. Also, I got a great tax call that I'm not going to post any audio, but I want to talk about that. Great tax call, though. So anybody who thinks that it's a very difficult thing to stump a tax agent or someone claiming that the Constitution and laws apply to them, no, not very difficult. All you have to do is stay focused and hold them to their burden of proof. Understand that that's their claim, that just because you're physically listed in California, that their magical Constitution, which is just a written instrument from 1879, somehow applies to you or your property just because it's physically in California. So I got to speak with two tax agents in California this morning. Actually, very nice professional guys, but a very good call. Very instructive, so we'll go through that. But I do want to get to the calls, because what we do here on the big show is to give people the tools necessary to be able to bring out contradictions in people's claims, and to show that their claims are either valid or not valid, whether they have a valid argument or whether they don't. And we do that just by asking questions. Again, the most difficult thing is actually staying on point and not allowing a non-responsive answer to be given, and just asking questions. Again, like this morning on the call, I didn't just say, hey, by the way, you're just repeating the claim. I said, aren't you? I did it in the form of a question. Aren't you just repeating the claim? If the claim is, if I'm physically in California, your Constitution applies to me, and I ask you for the evidence that claim is based on, just saying because I'm physically in California is just repeating your claim, right? Well, yeah, okay, so do you have any proof? But I will get to that particular call. I want to bring up our first caller. I know I had people call early. If I missed you, and especially since we did not have a live broadcast this past Saturday, which we will be live this Saturday. And I will get more information as the show progresses here, but I have got confirmation Libertopia is back. It will not be at the Hard Rock Cafe. That did not work out. It's going back to Humphreys by the Bay, which, if you've been there before, we know is a much, much nicer venue. So I'm looking forward to doing that. It's going to be in May. I don't have the exact date right off the top of my head, but I will get that throughout the show. And if not, I will have that posted in the video, and we'll have that in the show notes for the show today. So we got plenty of time for that. I've already been in contact with Bill when we were down there at Living Tea Brewing Company, and so we got plenty of time to get a scheduled jam. So there will be, we will be. Well, I'm speaking out of turn right now, but we're going to do what we can to work on having a live blues jam on the big stage, which would be a lot of fun. Because last time I was there, I got to play with one of the bands, and I played bass, and we did Johnny Be Good, which was a lot of fun. So looking forward to doing that again. But we should be able to get some other shows in the meantime with the guys with Barnwell Swift at the Living Tea Brewing Company on Wisconsin Avenue there in Oceanside, California. So definitely looking forward to being able to do that. And if you're in the valley, the East Valley here in Mesa, Arizona, if you know of a place here in the valley that's got really good Wi-Fi and they have an open mic and would be open to doing a live broadcast of the big show, definitely contact me at markstevens at mail.com, or Frank Rizzo 3 is the Skype channel. And you can join me on the big show that way too, but always instant message me first. So I got all that initial stuff out of the way. Let's get to our calls. That's why we're here, teaching people how to be effective at defending themselves against these baseless attacks. So we have area code 716. You're live on the show. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Omar.
Omar, where you calling from?
Buffalo, New York.
I was actually born in Cheektowaga.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. That's cool.
So are you far from Cheektowaga?
I'm not that far, actually. I'm like 3-4 minutes away from there.
Wow. Yeah. In fact, if I can just
I did not know
briefly
that. That's
pause
awesome.
here for a second. I was actually, I was born at the Sisters of Charity Hospital right there in Cheektowaga.
Wow, I did not know you were. I did not know that. Wow, that's something new I learned about you.
Well, I'm glad my family moved us to Long Island because we may have died in this '78 storm. But I'm not a very, I don't know. I live in Mesa now for all these years, and I'm not a winter guy, so I'm really glad they got us the hell out of there. But hey, I don't mind going back to visit, and I did a workshop there a few years ago.
You're lucky getting out of Buffalo. That's all I have to say.
I wear shorts all year long here in Phoenix, and although Long Island wasn't bad at all weather-wise, it certainly wasn't all Buffalo. So, yeah, I actually got to go back to the hospital, and it turns out James, who still is in Cheektowaga, he was there at the workshop. He was born in the same hospital a week after I was. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah. Oh, Dr. Gazzo is his name. Yeah, Sisters of still there. Unfortunately, I lost all the video footage of the hospital and where I was born. The nursery is actually a nursing station or a nurse's lounge now, but still there. But I'll have to get back there, do another workshop so I can get that footage again. That's but anyway, what's going on up on Buffalo?
I have a question. Okay. I received a traffic ticket a while back, and the third month of this past year, and I have had problems trying to get to court, and I ignored the summons, right? And now I got this past like a week ago, 3-4 days ago, I got a DMV where it's going to tell me my license is going to be suspended like 10 days from now because I never showed up to court for a traffic ticket. I was wondering, what do you do to try to remedy the situation so, you can drive, without incidents, and so forth?
Well, yeah, it's, I don't believe that, I'm pretty certain that there's no evidence that anyone's required to have the license, and that's based on evidence that a lack of evidence proving that the code applies because you're physically in New York, not because of any kind of legal interpretation and no right to travel kind of stuff. But in a practical sense, to be driving around or traveling, without a license, as long as you're not getting stopped and you're avoiding any kind of traffic stop and always getting out of the way, and you have a current tax tag on the car, then you could be okay. If you're stopped and they have no driver's license, you could lose the car and you could do some time because they're going to consider a criminal. So they may just arrest you and you can spend the day, the night in jail. I drove around for quite a while that way, and it just got to be where I was being stalked by the police. It was terrible.
the question I have for you is, do I have to make a special appearance in court to remedy this situation?
Probably, yeah. I would, yeah, you're probably going to have to. It's obviously, I'm sure it's considered civil. It's not considered a criminal because they would have issued a warrant for your arrest. But it's, yeah, if you don't appear, well, if you don't participate, let's say that, then they're going to go ahead and suspend that driver's license. So what I would do is I would get in touch with the court through a motion to dismiss. I'd file the motion to dismiss and ask for a stay of any kind of, I put in the motion to dismiss also request to stay any proceedings as far as the DMV suspending a driver's license until the court situation has been resolved.
Okay, you have that on your website, I noticed, for $25. Am I correct on that, or no?
Yes, it's the motion to dismiss template, which is already crossed over for New York. It comes with a discovery request, and it comes with a motion in limine, and it also comes with a unsigned plea of guilty, which I have a whole video that that I talk about that. So if you're not familiar with that, or if someone's not familiar with that, definitely check out my video. It's going back a few years regarding the unsigned plea of guilty, which basically, in a nutshell, is we're trying to put a monkey wrench in the works and stop them from escalating this. That if the prosecution can meet their prima facie burden and show that the court has any jurisdiction over you, then you'll just plead guilty and get this off the docket. Of course, there's no such evidence, but that's what we use that for. And then if the judge is not going to be fair and he's going to lie for the prosecution and cover for them and plead not guilty for you, we have documentary proof to use against the judge to show that he is biased and has lied and has mischaracterized what happened in court. Because if you have an unsigned plea of guilty, you're not refusing the plea, which is the only time the judge can enter a plea for you.
Hey, Mark, when you do purchase that from your website, does it come with a step-by-step instructions?
Of course, yes. It does come with instructions, and in there is also a link for the No State Project Skype chat so that you can do the role-playing. We also have 4 hours of broadcast that you're welcome to call back into if you have any of the questions that I have not been able to address properly on email. And even if I've addressed it on email, it's fine to call into the broadcast because it could help other people. So you're definitely not left alone. Step by step on how to get through there and definitely support. And we also have, if people are in the area like James might be available to act as a media rep to keep the judge on a little bit better behavior if you have to make if you have to participate.
I would love to know him. I would love to get to know him at that rate. I did not know that you knew. Oh, that's cool. I did not know that. Now, you're awesome, just so you know. I love your shows. I love your program. You're awesome. And what you speak is just totally amazing. That's all I have to say. But I will go ahead and I'll purchase that tonight to try to remedy this whole issue, because I don't want to end up in jail for over something really stupid. And I'm going to try to better myself in regards to knowing the stuff that you teach and so forth, because I think you're truly amazing. That's all I have to say.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know if I deserve that, but I do appreciate that. It's a matter of just not accepting a sacred cow, just not accepting someone's word for it and making them stick to the burden of proof. That if somebody makes a claim, they have to prove it. Just like the tax agents this morning. That's why, I'll talk about that later. It was such a simple thing. So just as something like you can go and you should be doing in court, isn't the prosecution alleging that just because I'm physically in Buffalo, that the Constitution applies and that gives the court jurisdiction? Like, well, yeah, every civilized country does it that way, sir. And so they'll readily agree to that. And what I do that's different is I question that. I then follow that up. Can you prove that? And some may poo-poo that, and they may say that that's something you're not supposed to challenge, but you're in court. And like I mentioned before so many times, Omer, if the prosecution is going to make an argument against you, make a claim against you, they're supposed to have evidence. And we know that that's true because that's what the rules say, because we know full well that if you try to make an accusation against and make a claim against the prosecution, You know that you have, we all know you have to have evidence, and the judge will tell you that. He'll even threaten you if you dare to make an unfounded allegation or claim against the prosecution. So that's the big difference, is that I'm willing to, and have been willing all these years, to challenge something that most people take for granted, and people who take $15,000 retainers and want $5,000 a day won't do. They will not do. They'll actually give a free pass to the prosecution, and I think that's disgraceful.
Mark, quick question. My last question to you. Have you ever heard the idea of having them prove that you're dead in court?
It's not an allegation that they're making against you, so I don't believe that there's any necessity, that it's not necessary or relevant to get into something like that.
Okay.
I don't, it's just like, I had a thing here I was going to address. They're not trying to contract with you. They're not trying to trick you into being an administrator for the name or something like that. They're not trying to trick you into accepting the liability for the all caps name. There's no treasury bond or account worth millions and millions of dollars because of the bankruptcy. Because that's what happens in a bankruptcy. They give millions of people multi-million-dollar accounts because that's just a regular par for the course. That's what you do in bankruptcy. None of that stuff has any merit whatsoever. And I would suggest to you and everyone else listening, it is more than sufficient to just take the claims the prosecution is actually making against you and just challenge that. The single most important one that determines the relevancy for everything else, and relevancy is extremely important in court, I mean monumentally important, is the foundation being that if you're physically in Buffalo, the Constitution and code apply, and that's the basis of jurisdiction and a code violation, which is what they've charged you with.
True.
Challenge
true.
that. If they had evidence for that, they just put it on the table, but they don't. And even if the other stuff, look, like I've said, they have to be actually charging you that way. That has to be a part of their claim, a part of their attack against you. You could ask them point blank, are you charging me as if I'm dead? It's like, no. Yes, could they be lying? Well, sure. But if there's no evidence to prove jurisdiction, what's the relevance of the rest of the charge?
Got it.
So you have to set a priority on the issues that you're going to be attacking. And I believe that the foundation of the prosecution's case should be the top priority because, like I've said, it sets the relevance for everything else. None of the merits are relevant until jurisdiction is proven. And that's a tactic that the other side will use against us. If you sue the prosecutor or you sue the cop, they're going to challenge jurisdiction, and they're never going to be bringing up any side issues, whether that's part of your claim or not. Until jurisdiction is proven, no state attorney, no matter how good or bad a litigator they are never going to discuss the merits with you. And you need to do the same thing. Never, never, ever, ever discuss the merits until the prosecution has clearly established with evidence their claim of jurisdiction.
Got it. Cool.
All right?
Okay. Yep.
All right, well, I appreciate the call, and keep in touch. You know, definitely after you get the files, get into the No State Project Skype chat and start doing some role playing to prep.
Okay, thank you, Mark. I really appreciate that.
Not a problem. Omar in Buffalo, Cheektowaga there. Gosh, I couldn't be wearing shorts in Cheektowaga today. I can pretty much guarantee that. We have area code 832. You're live on the No State Project. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Mark. My name's Matt. I'm calling from Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas. So are you on higher ground?
Yeah. Wait. Higher ground, like as far as after Harvey and everything.
Yeah, I've seen the reports.
Yeah, we ran into a little bit, but me and my partner, we live in 3rd Ward, which is a lower income area, and surprisingly, that it drains really, really well. So our house was not affected at all. which we're very thankful for. So, there was a lot of people that, a lot of the higher end neighborhoods got hit really, really bad, just a few miles away from us. But miraculously, we were safe.
All right, well, that's good to hear. You probably don't have as good a news to report, though, as far as what do you have something going on in court?
I do, and I want to say thank you very much. I've been listening. I haven't been a very long listener, but I ordered your motion to dismiss on Sunday evening, and I got that emailed to me on Monday, so that was awesome. Really quick. I appreciate that. And I filled it out and filed it with the county clerk and the assistant DA's misdemeanor office.
Whoa! Wait a minute. Why are you filing anything with the county clerk?
Who was I supposed to file it with?
I'm pretty certain the instructions tell you the clerk of the court that the complaint is filed in.
Correct. This was that was where I was supposed to deliver it. After Harvey, there was a whole bunch of offices that were moved around. So as far as I'm aware, where I filed it was the correct place to file it. It was under, court number 11, which was, moved to another building. So I think what happened is that, as far as I know, the clerk accepted it, marked it for court number 11, which is where, my appearance is supposed to be on next Monday. So
okay.
As far as I know,
I hope, okay.
Should I, I'm trying to think, the clerk of the court, I guess I'll look that up. I have another copy of it and I can go deliver it to them as well. But, I didn't get any refusal or questioning about it. So from the clerk, they seem to know that that was the proper place to file it.
Well, you can always file, if it's not, you can always file it, on before the 11th. I would make sure, you can mail it, and this way it would be easier to just go and get the name of the court that it's in, and then just address it to the clerk of that particular court and mail it to them. Because it sucks to just bring it in the day of. Well, it's not so bad if you just bring it in the same day, as long as you've given a copy to the police officer or the prosecutor if there is one. I mean, you did that, right?
Yes, I took that up. And like I said, after Harvey, a lot of the government buildings were flooded. So, initially the one address for the DA's office was 15 minutes away. Whereas, the clerk's office, which had, makeshift signs for criminal cases, which I filed with the criminal section. I'm fairly sure that I filed in the correct spot. I will look again. But yes, I went and hand delivered it to the misdemeanor, the prosecutors for misdemeanor offenses,
okay.
By hand yesterday. So. And I got a copy, of the stamp that it was delivered and everything.
Okay, well, good. All right, well, and do you have any questions regarding the process now, or any concerns?
Yeah, I was curious because when I got stopped, the cop could have he could have charged me with no driver's license, no registration, and no insurance. But based on what I said and how I, spoke to him, I reserved my rights. I let him know, no searches, no seizures, blah, blah, blah. At the end of it, initially basically they forcefully took me out of my car, threw me down on the ground, took me to jail. Initially, they charged me with resisting arrest. And then while I was going through, the process in jail, my family was checking on the status, and they changed it from resisting arrest and no other charges to interfering with police duties. So that is the only thing that I am being charged with. And as you probably know, that's a kind of a catch-all. Really, I guess it depends on state to state, but, it can be as little as just me standing and, between two people and talking to the officer and asking him too many questions, and I can get charged with that. And I was just wondering, what would be your take, as far as that's concerned. When I get to court, I'm most likely not going to get a letter in the mail from the court saying that my case has been dismissed and to not show up by Saturday, because my court date is on Monday on the 6th. So, as far as that's concerned, I mean, what do you think? How should I proceed? I know pretty much you have a set way of doing things, and there's not a whole lot of straying from it. But what's your take?
There's not a lot of strength in how I do things?
No, there is. I'm saying that you have you just have your challenge jurisdiction. There's not a lot of you don't there's not a lot of you're not fussing around. It's straight to the point. Challenge jurisdiction, and whether or not they have that, then you move from there.
That's what I would be prepping for. I'd get into the No State Project Skype chat to be working on that and because you're working. Look, the big thing is keeping on point and dealing and having effective objections when the judge says the stupid things that they're going to say. They said to Eric in California, he's actually working on something in Boston. That was the Castillo prosecution that we broadcast a few months ago. The judge actually said point blank that the evidence proven the code applies is in the police report. And when he objected and asked him to point it out, the judge stated he have to get an attorney to explain it to him. And everyone should be thinking, wait a minute, when you ask someone to point something out, where is this alleged evidence in the report? When someone turns around and says, well, you have to get an attorney to explain it to you, normal people can get that the judge is deflecting. And he's deflecting attention from him. He's not answering the question. It's like, I don't need anyone to explain it to me. At least it's premature at this point, because I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. Point it out to me, and if I can see what you're talking about, if it's overwhelming or over my head, then I'll make a decision like an adult would to have someone explain it to me so that I can understand it. But those are the kind of things that we have to deal with these people. It's just like today, and he did it in a nice way. This guy was completely over his head this morning, Matt. Someone with the tax assessor's office, a local county office in California this morning. He came out and he said, look, you're debating the constitutionality of the laws and the Proposition 13, and he says, this is not something we can do at this level. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. So you have to know that they're mischaracterizing. It's called a straw man. That's not what we're doing. And so through just asking questions, like, excuse me, wasn't I just asking you for evidence to support your claim? Well, yes. Why are you characterizing that as a debate on the constitutionality? Well, isn't constitutionality a matter of legal interpretation? It's not an issue of fact? Well, yeah. Then why would you characterize my asking you for evidence as debating constitutionality? So that's what we have to deal with. That's what you need to be preparing for, to go toe-to-toe with these people. We already know there's no evidence. They couldn't possibly present any evidence to you, unless, of course, you're like somebody's I need to talk about later, unless you have a government pension. If you work for the government, I can't help you on a jurisdiction issue. You're definitely looking at some other issues.
Yeah, okay. And when I get there, I mean, do you recommend, you know, when they call my name, you know, I say, you know, I'm here on special appearance, correct?
Well, they don't recognize a special appearance in a criminal situation across the board. It's just not recognized.
Yeah.
You may it should be in the motion that you're participating on the threat, duress, and coercion.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, you can say that. Well, yes, I'm here. I'm not appearing. I'm participating because I'm being forced to. You can maybe soften.
Okay, so I should say I am participating. And I should say I am participating under threat, duress, and coercion.
Yeah, or you can just say I'm participating only because you're forcing me to.
Okay, all right. So I mean, you know, hopefully, you know, best case scenario, they pull up my file, they read it, and then they're like, you know, or I get there and they've already. They're like, oh yeah, does that usually happen? Like, I delivered it yesterday. Does that ever happen when, you know, somebody gets in there, and then the, you know, file comes up, and they're like, oh, well, you're not on the docket, or you're, you know, your case has already been dismissed. See you later. Does that ever happen?
Yeah. You know, in a situation like this, where, like you mentioned before, where, you know, interfering with police duties or like a disorderly conduct, you know, which is, you know, contempt of cop, it's such a broad thing. It's usually so vague and difficult to prove that the police officer may not want to pursue it. It's just like, yeah,
because how he described it in his report was, I refused to identify myself, comma, I identified myself, period, and then when they went to, like, I guess arrest me, when 4 cops, like, bum rushed me in my car, you know, I was not aggressive, I didn't have a weapon, I wasn't using foul language, I was simply asking them questions, and reserving my rights. He said, I clenched my fists, and then when they got me down on the ground, I clenched my fists again, and that's it. That's all it says.
You clenched your fists.
Yeah, like, you know, I wasn't, it's like they didn't have anything because I literally did nothing. They pulled me out of the car, and they couldn't come up with, they couldn't say, oh, like, I fought them, you know, I resisted, and I, you know, pushed him, and I, you know, punched the cop or whatever. The only kind of, you know, hint at any sort of possible aggression or whatever was that I clenched my fists. And I have videotape of it, and all the cops had body cams. So, you know, I gave the DA the request for discovery. So, I mean, you know, it was absolute nonsense. They didn't have, they couldn't charge me with anything better, you know, so it was literally just that. And I'm wondering, you know, it's very vague. They didn't say exactly what I did that was, you know, interfering with them. Was it the fact that you know, it wasn't a fact. It was basically, I said, you know, no, I do not have my driver's license on me. And then I immediately gave them my name. So, I mean, technically, you know, and that's on their body cams. I didn't refuse to identify myself. I just told them I didn't have an ID, and then I gave them my name. So, I mean, it's really just nonsensical. So, you know, I'm thinking that they'll get this stuff, they'll get my motion, and then they'll be like, well, this is, you know, kind of ridiculous, and dismiss it anyway. So, you know, I don't know.
The prosecutor might get a look at the recordings and believe that. I think you probably should still get some leverage by confronting him with the issues that were, the factual issues that we're raising, and we want evidence of jurisdiction, evidence to prove that there's a valid cause of action, which of course is dependent upon you being in physically in Texas and their Constitution. A written instrument actually applies to you and gives the court and the police jurisdiction, because of course the police have to have jurisdiction to even stop you, and that's based on the same thing as the court. So I would confront them. When's your court? Oh, you've got 10 days to prep, so you can do pretty good.
No, it's on this next Monday.
You said the 11th. Oh no, court 11. I'm sorry. That's It's on. Well, you still have a few days to prep. So I would definitely highly suggest that you do that.
And I've been prepping. I haven't had a lot of role playing with other people, but I mean, even when I'm driving around in my car, I'm actively, it'll just happen. I'll just start talking to myself, like running through scenarios. If I were to get stopped, what would I say? If I get stopped for this, if I get stopped for that, So I'm like always role playing, to myself, talking to myself out loud. I know it sounds a little weird, but I think everybody, with a brain kind of, does that anyway. But I've been trying to prepare as much as I can. When was that Skype role play thing? When did you say that was going to be?
It's usually after a show. It's after each show. But the guys, I think we have over 400 people now. Yeah, 406. Obviously not all 400 are active. But the guys are always. You just post in there. You can go to markstevens.net. It's under upcoming events. There's a link directly in there. And let the guys know, hey, I was on the show. This is Matt from Houston, and I need to prep. It's fine to go over the issues in your head. You still, for everyone listening, you have to engage other people in order to get good at this. So no matter how well you may know it, by going in and actually engaging other people in real time, that's going to help you far and away more. And then going to a city council meeting and asking these questions, and whether they respond to you or not is not always necessary, because you're trying to just get your feet wet, and you want experience going into a public place and confronting them, and basically asking questions and attacking a sacred cow. Which once you've done that in front of an audience of 40, 50 people, regardless if they answered you or not, you're not going to be as intimidated to go into court, because there's usually not going to be as many people in court anyway. But if there are, you've already done it. It's not new, and nothing should be a surprise to you with the things that they say to you, because assume that everything they're saying is a lie, and just object and ask clarifying questions, or ask questions to bring out that they're either telling the truth or they're contradicting themselves, or just flat out lying. So that's what we get with the role playing. Though, definitely do that. And if you can get to a city council, great. Just let me know, and so what I'll do is I'll email you the 2 questions that we should be asking, which includes, of course, if I did things the way you guys did, and I forced perfect strangers to give me money, would you consider me a criminal? And then the other one is, I know you guys operate under the presumption that if I'm physically in Texas, your Constitution and laws apply to me. Okay, I want to know if you have any proof that that's true.
Yeah.
Those are the questions. So definitely get to the role playing and stay in touch. Let us know on Monday what happened. Don't do like what Andre did last week. I still haven't heard from the guy. So for all I know, he's sitting in some Australian jail.
What did he do?
He went to court right after the show and didn't contact me and let me know what was going on, and I haven't heard from him since. So I know that's, for some of you guys, some of you friggin' sadists out there, I know that's like a guilty pleasure with you guys, and some people think it's really funny, but it's a concern. I want to know what this guy, so if you're listening, mate, let us know that you're okay. So on Monday, let us know. Give us a message to the Skype board, or Skype me at Frank Rizzo 3. Let me know that you're okay.
I will, man. I appreciate it.
All right, not a problem. I appreciate the call and good luck.
Thanks, Mark.
Yep.
Talk to you later, man.
Yep. Wow, we have got a ton of calls. I could do a 3-hour show today. Jeez. We're trying to do our best to get to everybody here today, but I don't see that happening. Not in the time that I got left. We got area code 360. You're live on the No Stay Project. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Mary. Thanks for having me, and thank you for the work you do.
Oh, no problem. I'm glad you appreciate the work. Where are you calling from? You calling from Connecticut?
No, I'm calling from Washington State, Vancouver, Washington.
Washington. All right. Well, what do you got for us today, Mary?
Okay, well, this is a very interesting, I'm going to sum it up for you. When I was 15, I was just really quick back history, and then I want to tell you what I'm dealing with right now. When I was 15, I was statutorily raped by a New York State corrections officer, who then somehow got adjudged 6 years out of retirement after I walked my kid through 2 years of chemotherapy by myself, mind you. Got adjudged 6 years out of retirement for my one custody case, and my rapist was given total custody, full and legal physical custody of my child, who is basically a stranger to him. He then signed over power of attorney to a sister, moved out of the town, and sued me for child support after not allowing me to even see or speak to my son, mind you, after threatening my life, mind you, which is why I'm on the West Coast. So then, after, there was no proof of service. There's no due process. The whole thing's crazy, but New York's completely corrupt. So whatever, it's just the way it is over there.
Wait a minute.
But now,
this happened this started in New York?
Oh, Myra, New York. And you want to know the crazy part of it is? So the judge they bought 6 years out of retirement was my judge when I was a child in family court, when I was a kid. Because I was born in Pennsylvania, but I was, for lack of a better term, kidnapped out of Pennsylvania into New York State. And this guy, after my natural mom, found me, it took her like 9 years through school records to find me. She petitioned Elmira Family Court for custody of me and my sister and lost to our abductor through this same judge, which is just crazy, but it's true. And I wrote a 972-page book about it with supporting documentation. Like, I seriously take this serious.
Mary, has your birth mother ever called the show? Or is this just a nightmare that's been repeated by other people?
No, my birth mom hasn't called the show, but she's written an affidavit. I've got a video documentary for, of her own true testimony and everything in case she should pass. I mean, this is something I've been battling for like my entire life. This is really serious to me. And,
I get that. It's just because there was someone who had called the show a couple of times and was relating really similar details about losing custody of her own child and it turned out that yes, the rapist was a cop.
Yeah.
So
mine is a corrections officer. Yeah.
A correction officer, but so it's just that the details are very similar, and you can't ever forget a mother losing custody of her child to someone who raped her child. 20-some years. I'm still last time I saw my son, he had a black eye. Mind you, this is a Down syndrome. My son has Down syndrome, and he also was diagnosed with leukemia on Christmas Day in '94, which I walked him through 2 years of chemo at 18 by myself. And I don't expect recognition. I just did, and I'd do it again. I love the boy. He's my son. So. Well, sure. I have a daughter with Down syndrome, and my wife would just.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah. My wife would get horribly upset every time she got a little sick with a low-grade fever, because my wife works at a hospital and she tends to jump to the worst thing. Down syndrome, leukemia, low-grade fever.
Low T cells, yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of the signs. So I don't have too much time here to unpack all this, but let's get to the big issue.
So I, without due process, was ordered to pay this crazy amount of money that I will never be able to pay, first of all. And then secondly, I'm being denied my basic right to travel. I have a current passport that I just sent in good faith to the passport agency, and they wrote back saying because they don't have any information regarding my child care support obligations, but they're going to deny me my passport due to Title 22, which isn't even enacted in positive law. So.
Well, let's not get into any kind of patriot
now.
type of thing. That usually doesn't hold any water. But all right, real quick, how in the hell did this guy get child support ordered? What was his grounds? And wasn't all this wasn't the statutory? You didn't participate?
When I was 19 years old, I went to the DA and the Elmira Police Department and tried to press charges against my rapist because I was well within my statute of limitations, and both of them told me to go away, literally. Go away. That's what they said. Now, is that due to professional courtesy? Did they know the guy? I don't know. I have no idea. I was a kid. I really was. I was
if he's a
really
correctional
naive
officer
with a big heart and doing my best.
Yeah,
so.
if he's a correctional officer, if he's one of those, yes, the blue wall of silence, they are going to try to protect him.
Oh, his whole family is.
But what happened? Yeah. What happened in court? Did you have a hearing? Did you contest the child support?
They never served me, but I found out about it, and I called in through electronic testimony, and they rerouted me to a different court at the time that the court was going on, and were probably laughing the whole time because they never put me through to the court. So they rerouted me to a different court, and were, like I said, probably laughing the whole time because when court was over, I was like, excuse me, I'm still here waiting to hear my case. And they're like, well, you weren't called to this court. So they must have purposefully rerouted my electronic call testimony / I don't know. I was never able to appear because, my first thing would have been like,
right.
Are you aware that this man was 6 years older than me when I was 15 years old? And, New York State is now helping him profit from a crime, not to say my son is a crime, but statutory rape is a crime.
Well, sure, of course. So in the little time that we have left here...
His name's Brian Cleary, by the way.
Oh, the correctional officer?
Yeah, my rapist. His name is Brian Matthew Cleary. Yeah, my name's Mary Trudell, and my son's name
well, we don't
is
need
Orion.
We don't need to have your son's
anyway.
name. Okay, well...
his name is Orion, like the stars, because he's beautiful.
I'm very close to my daughter, too. She's actually peered in a number of times, and she'll open up the door not realizing I'm doing the show. Yeah, she and that's what really irritates me, that some people think that children with Down syndrome have less moral value. I'm like, really? Yeah,
well, you know what? The last time I heard is that literally, and I wouldn't make this up, I swear to God on my own life and soul, that my son, as far as I know, is being locked in a back room. The last time I saw him, he had a black eye. When I confronted the grandfather about it, he told me that not to make a big deal about it or I'll never see my kid again. I got it videotaped. I put it on Orion's Reality Now on YouTube. And he went into court and lied and said the kid fell off the bed. He perjured himself on the stand. I mean, these people are unbelievable.
Yeah, okay.
Take my child away. I mean,
yeah,
really?
All right.
Really?
I want to help here. So what you're going to have to get the judgment for the child support vacated on grounds that obviously you weren't served. You had no opportunity to defend against that. And you may have to then appeal that, or may do an Article 78 proceeding. But that's how you have to start. What's the date of the child support order?
2008, and it's only escalated since. And I've tried to deal with it many times since then. But they always go back to the first order, which I wasn't even there for. So that's my argument. Yeah,
you're going to have to get. Have you actually filed paperwork, a motion to vacate the order on grounds that you were not served and didn't have an opportunity to defend?
No, I did not, because I did not know that I was able to do that until just recently. And also, I just learned that these judges, courts of clerk masquerading as judges, they're not judges. They're administrators. They're clerks.
Well, the judges, they're judges. Don't fall into the trap that there's this nonsense. There haven't been real judges since 1789 and all that. Look, they are gatekeepers. There are judges and there are clerks, and they have separate jobs, and they do different things. So let's stick to what we can prove, and we can prove that you weren't given notice, and that is where I would start this. Wow. So that's what you can contact me off air. I can help you with the motion. I have a similar one as a template that you can use that,
okay.
The first and foremost, this has to be vacated or set aside on grounds that you were not given an opportunity you weren't given notice and opportunity to defend. That's the bare minimum of due process. That's been denied. And so the whole thing should be thrown out. This guy's probably thinking he's got almost a decade of, what do they call it? Arrears that he's going to be able to collect. He might actually try to attach any other property you have to collect that. So that's first and foremost. Get that thing tossed out for lack of due process, because again, notice an opportunity to defend. This is just awful.
I know it's been real. Let me tell you, it's been a fight for 20 plus years. My son was born in '92, so I've been at this for 24 years.
You know, you always...
I live and breathe and wake this every moment of my life, and I haven't seen my son since he was 12. He had a black eye.
Jeez.
It's the last time I even saw my son.
Usually...
They won't even let me talk to him on the phone.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about that. It's usually when you hear things where a woman is getting treated this way by the family court, it's usually because the guy is a cop, and he's a prosecutor, and he's somehow connected to the court system. So I'll do what I can to help you. I really
appreciate it. You know, I just want to see him before he has congestive heart failure. You know.
Why would he have congestive heart failure? Has he had a history?
Most kids with Downs, that's how they pass. They usually pass, you know, late 20s to early 40s, in between there. And then, you know, the doctors tell me that he was taken 15 years of his life taken off just due to some of the chemotherapies that he received, like brain radiation and just different.
That makes sense. Well, I would throw this out also, that this is something you can do too. We can try a habeas corpus petition to try to get him back.
I'm willing to try anything. I've tried everything I could in my power. Unfortunately, you know, I really feel like I'm dealing with crooked people. It's very hard.
Well, yeah, that's no doubt, and because there's a rapist cop in the mix here. So, have you tried a habeas corpus petition?
No, I haven't. I was aware that was something that was done while in jail. I thought you had to be in jail to do something like that. You
have to be in state custody or state ordered custody. So you can be
so because there's an order against me, I can use it.
There's an order against you, so that well, there's an order from the court about the custody of your child, and that keeps you from seeing him. So to me, it's worth a shot. I know that, yes.
You know, this guy gets custody and just gives over power of attorney to his sister. I mean, like, really? Didn't even want the kid. Just wanted to hurt me some more sadistically, and was able to do so with the help of the courts. That's what kills me. Really?
He's a police officer, and he's
a piece of something.
Yeah, well, yes, absolutely, and so that's what I can help. That's the initial thoughts are: we get the motion to vacate the child support order for lack of due process, lack of notice and opportunity, and get a habeas corpus petition in to try to get some, to also attack the validity of the order, because the state government gave custody of the child to a rapist. Who obviously,
that was my point exactly.
Yeah, who obviously was doing it.
Who denied him in the court of law, didn't want anything to do with him, didn't even see him for like 3 years of his life. It had nothing to do with him. They gave him to a complete stranger. See, I mean, this is a little boy who just went through chemotherapy for 2 years. He's sick as hell, and they gave him to a complete stranger.
And you had no participation in that decision either, right?
I had a public pretender who like, was the worst. I can't even go there.
Okay.
If you want to call that I mean, this guy, he changed his office 4 times. He didn't call one doctor, didn't get a doctor's second opinion, didn't call one witness on my behalf, like, was so inept, it was pathetic. He had a nervous breakdown after my custody case and left town, literally. And I was told that by a judge. So I'm pretty sure there were some backdoor swinging deals going on behind my back that I'll probably will never be aware of. I'm pretty sure of it.
Well, yeah, again, I've seen it before where when there's a cop involved, it's really bad. And I know that doesn't help you at this point. You already know you're going through that. But that's the what I mentioned with the things that we can put into motion to try to rectify this situation.
Well, I really appreciate it. I will. Can I personalize message you or just send you to a message to your email? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
To your direct email.
Yeah.
I will do that right now. Okay. I can't thank you enough for all that you do, and I appreciate you taking my call.
Oh, well, no problem. I hope I hope there's something I can do to help you rectify this situation.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, and knowing that you have a child with Down syndrome, it's like they're God's special people. They really are.
Yeah, I lost almost total respect for someone on YouTube where he's usually very rational and straightforward, and he questions things and doesn't accept sacred cows. And to come out and say that people or babies with Down syndrome have less moral value is just so hideous and so it's so lacking in any kind of experience that I know.
Well,
and I know
they never met anybody with Down syndrome. Maybe, they never met anybody because everyone I've ever met with Down syndrome has nothing but love in their heart, and all they want is hugs and acceptance and love, and that's all they are. They're just
and we got lucky.
They're us without filters.
My daughter is pretty high functioning. She's never had the blank stare. She's always been very happy and outgoing, and she has a speech impediment, which is common, but we're hoping that's going to be fixed here real soon. Even if she didn't have all that, what she has added to my family and to my life, to say that she has less moral value is just staggeringly just ignorant. And for anyone to say that there's less moral value that's like saying when my grandmother was going through stages, or anyone is going through stages of dementia, which is something people with Down syndrome suffer too. It's usually a common cause of death also, Alzheimer's, because of the 21st chromosome. To say that someone with Alzheimer's, with somebody with diminished capacity due to an accident or something, has less moral value, I don't go for that, eugenics garbage, this white supremacist type of crap that...
Yeah, trisomy 21G is what they call it. Yeah.
It is ridiculous. Less more. No, I'm not going to belabor the point anymore. It sickens me that somebody can be so ignorant. But it's interesting to point out, because just from parent to parent, is also the mosaic Downs. The thing is that they can have the translocational chromosome upon conception themselves, and some of these Down syndrome who are mosaic are fucking genius, for lack of a better term. So, it's Creator's decision. We all have spirit, and we all have to, recognize that. And that's why Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, that we must love all things that God made, is my favorite poem. It's one of my favorite Iron Maiden songs. So
yep.
I like the reference.
My favorite band.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So it's ignorance, and it's not a matter of, Mark, you're just being emotional because you have a family member who has Down syndrome. No, I've seen other people with Down syndrome, and even if I exclude my daughter, who I love dearly, of course, I've been around other children and adults with Down syndrome, and it's diminished capacity does not, even if they have diminished, it doesn't mean that they're less moral value. And I actually do know somebody who's mosaic. I met her years ago, and she looked like my daughter would as an adult. Because my daughter is not heavy like typical Down syndrome. She's very petite, and this girl she's mosaic, and so I've known her for about 15 years now, and she got married. and she graduated in her,
Aw.
yeah, she graduated in her age group. You know, so she always went to a typical class in high school. So for those who don't know, mosaic just means that not every cell of the body has the extra 21st chromosome. So in her particular case, her nervous system and her brain did not get the extra 21st chromosome. So she doesn't have, she may look like she has Down syndrome, but she doesn't have the cognitive delay and the immaturity that comes typically with Down syndrome. So I wanted to point that out. So I'm glad you'd mentioned that. And then we got an Iron Maiden reference, so we can actually end the show on a good note.
There you go. Where eagles dare, baby. That's right. I'm soaring high because I'm a legal eagle, and I am not a freaking victim or a felon, and I fought fucking hard, fought these people hard all by myself without an attorney after that first lapse, and I'm never going to give up on him, ever.
Well, I'll do what I can to help. So contact me.
I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Oh, no problem.
Just blesses. Thank you.
You're welcome, and we'll be in touch off air. I appreciate the call. I have to apologize. I know we've got a full line of calls here, and I'm out of time. I don't have the opportunity to go over the time today. I'm sorry about that, but I do want to mention I have the dates for Libertopia. It's going to be May 3rd through May 6th, and it's going to be Humphreys by the Bay. It's 2303 Shelter Island Drive in San Diego. You can go to libertopia.org for more information, and I will be, as I get more information about it, then I will let you guys know. I was graciously asked to talk again, so I'm looking forward to that. And just as much, if not more so, I'm really looking forward to jamming with Barnwell Swift and the guys, Bill, with the Living Tea Brewing Company in Oceanside, California. So hopefully we will be on the big stage. We'll be there in some form jamming. So definitely check that out. So it's May 3rd through May 6th at Humphreys Concerts by the Bay. I love this venue. I know my wife is looking forward to that also. So definitely check that out. This has been the episode 40 of the No Stay Project live, commercial free. It's November 1st, 2017 from the Fortified Compound in Mesa, Arizona. And we will be live this Saturday, so till then, salud.